This year, I wanted to take French seriously instead of learning bits and pieces as I did in the past. In May, I signed up for a French A2 DELF exam, which took place in June, so I give myself a month to prepare and hone in on my skills. In this video, I'll share my method, resources, and a study plan on how I achieve French A2 in a relatively quick way. In the end, I'll also share my tips on passing the DELF exam. When I'm starting a new language, I wanted to make sure that I have a system and I learned the basics first, especially for a language like French that has a lot of conjugations and tenses. The textbook that I used is called Le Nouveau Texte. It basically covers all the grammar you need. In the back, there's also a list of vocabularies that I would try memorizing every day. In terms of the apps, I didn't find Duolingo helpful because I think it's good for people who don't have time or for traveling, but I wanted to learn it for long term. So the one I use is called Language Transfer. It's very straightforward. It's like sitting in a class. If you plan to take the exam, make sure you also do a lot of practice beforehand, and this is the one that I used. For beginners, I think it's very important to learn some basic vocabularies to lay out a nice ground for future learning. I find writing words down on paper very helpful for memorization. First, I would fold a piece of paper into 8 parts. On the left, I would write down the definition of the words, and then I would try writing down the French word. So if I made a mistake, it's a good way to correct myself and strengthen my memorization. I would repeat this process till I fill out the entire paper. Learn 20 to 50 words each day. I wanted to make sure it's a reasonable amount so that I can be consistent with it. If there are too many, I would forget most of them the next day. Spend 5 minutes each day to journal in French. I've made a whole video on how I journal in French. Even though it only took 5 minutes, I was able to apply new words I learned and practice my writing skills. It doesn't have to be mindful. How I usually journal is describe my day or jot down 3 things that I've learned from either a French video I watched or a French podcast I listened to. Play French podcasts or videos as a background noise. We all like to multitask. When you're doing dishes, chores, or making breakfast, play something in French will get used to the pace and pronunciation of native speakers. 2 of my favorites are Easy French and French Made Easy. Lastly, practice, practice, and practice. Not only I finished all the practice in the book, I also completed them multiple times to make sure that I've understood them completely. I would talk with ChatGPT to practice my speaking and have a conversation over and over again. This also helps you to feel more comfortable talking in French. I feel very discouraged when the other person doesn't understand my French. So knowing ChatGPT wouldn't judge me somehow made me feel more confident. To summarize, my method is to expose myself and immerse in a French environment as much as possible. After doing everything I mentioned above, I stopped relying on translations. I would try to make sense of the information in front of me without translating word by word. Everything I mentioned above can help you to get a head start. However, here is a complete guide for you to pass the exam. Make sure you understand how many parts there are in the exam and how it works. For example, for speaking, there are 3 parts: a self-introduction, a monologue, and an interaction. Make sure to have a perfect introduction. I had mine written down and memorized it completely. It's the first question that they will ask you, so it will be nice to have the first few points secured. Remember to always have eye contact and be confident in what you say. One thing that helped me with speaking is imitate a French native speaker when I practice. Learn to French is a great channel to check out. I will listen to how she speaks and how she answers some of the questions and follow along. Same thing with writing. I will look at how native speakers usually write and try writing it in a similar style. One video that I found very helpful is this one, how to prepare for the French DELF A2 writing exam. Make sure to include a variety of expressions and conjunctions. I also use past tense, present, and future tense to demonstrate that I know how to conjugate these verbs. It was very daunting at first when I couldn't understand anything. I guess the key here is to capture keywords. The more you listen and the more words you learned, the more you will be able to understand. There were times that I would listen to the same audio over and over again until I started to catch the meaning. Really, there's no shortcut to language learning. I think I needed that push to make myself committed to learning French. I hope you like this video and I'll see you in the next one.